Okay, hope we're all ready. We're going to start a new unit today, and I wanted just to share with you and go over some quick information with you, just to give you a little context and some base information before we get started. We're going to go through this little presentation I put together for you guys fairly quickly, just a few minutes. It'll be posted on your Edmodo classroom, so you can go back and take a look at it later just to get ready and be prepared for when we start, okay? So this unit that we're going to be starting is going to be based on The Outsiders, the novel. We will learn more. Like I said, this is just a quick little insight into it, but The Outsiders, it's called The Original Teen Rebel Story. It was written by Effie Hinton, and she happens to be a teenage girl. And the odd thing about this is that this book is all about boys, teenage boys. And what's interesting about this is that you guys can relate to this because you know they're about the same age. So some of the standards that we're going to be working towards trying to accomplish is we're going to look at relationship between characters, and we're going to recognize the conflicts, whether they're internal or external, and what causes, what influences, what motivates them to do the things that they do at their age. We're going to determine character traits through the text and how the author uses the text and wording to portray the traits and identities of these characters. Our goals, what we're trying to accomplish by the end of this unit and through this book, we're going to do a lot of discussions, and we're going to take a look at some things in depth as far as identity is going to be a big one for us, and we're going to look at different forms of identity and where it comes from. How do we get our identity, and how do we perceive other people's identity, and do we look to see where does it come from? What are the influences that cause us to have the identity that we identify with? Is it, we're going to look at society and societal class and race, and we're going to look at other things as far as group identity, cliques and gangs, and you know, are they judgments or stereotypes? Does identity always truly tell us who the person is? Okay, and reading through the book, we're going to come across vocabulary words that we may be either unfamiliar with, or it just may be some words that just aren't really used. So we have just a few here, just to a quick overview. As we come across them, we will go over them. One of them is sympathetic. And here we have, you know, all of these are going to come up in the book, and there's samples of where it's used, and we're going to take that context and where the word is used to try and find the meaning to these words, okay? There's unfathomable. I'm sure maybe some of you have heard of this word. If not, there's a sample. He liked fights, blondes, and for some unfathomable reason, school. So it's misunderstood why. Why did he like school amongst those other things? Savvy is a word that maybe is not used as much anymore, but it is used here because of the time period that this story takes place. Okay, and again, here's another incredulous. And again, when you go home tonight, take a look at this again and take your time, read it over, look it up if you need to. But those are just a sample of some of the vocabulary that we're going to be coming across. Now, the theme that we're going to be focusing on throughout this novel is going to be identity. There's a lot of that going on. And here are two groups that are in this novel that identify differently. They come from the same town, but their identities are different. And we're going to take a look at their different identities and what makes them what gives them their identity. So these are the socials, this is their attributes. They come from the west side, they have good families, they're upper class. You know, these are the things that make up their identity. And then we have this other group, the outsiders. Okay, these are their attributes. They're from the other side of town. Maybe not so high class, maybe lower class. Family, home life is not quite the same. They're a little different, and this is what forms their identity. And this is a running theme in a lot of stories that you'll see. There's other stories that kind of show us that identity and the conflict that come from two different groups that identify a little different. And we'll run into this in the book, but here's an example of another story, the West Side Story, you may not be familiar with, but here's a small video that you can watch at home because we just don't have time right now to go over it. But please watch it. And you'll see similarities as we read through the book and we come and we recognize the conflicts that are happening in the outsiders, how it kind of relates to this here. Okay, so this is what we're going to be looking at for the next few weeks. We're going to be reading The Outsiders, and here is just some basic information on it. Again, this is going to be posted on your Edmodo classroom. Go ahead and take a look at it as many times as you need to. Come to me with any questions that you might have or anything you want to share. Okay? All right, thank you.